What is up, everyone? Welcome to our little sit-down convo. So today we'll be covering, pretty much we did a vlog style test out in the woods, pretty much testing out different sounds in the tree stand. So like climbing up, jackets, rubbing that together, banging carabiners together, and just really testing out the sounds at what different frequencies. We've dove into this so much more since we've been editing this video. And just testing the sounds and how far they carry out, 20, 50, 100 yards, and the volume and all that entails. So we brought it together, I put it together, and we've also done a screen recording of the frequency that each of these sounds is made. So you'll see live in the video, and there's a vlog that you'll be seeing, bottom left corner. And we'll kind of just go over what that is, and it's just recording different frequencies, different sounds that they make, and all that. So we are new to this, so we're not professionals. We're learning as we go. So we could be wrong, but this is just what we're observing. So we're just gonna dive in, watch this vlog that we made out there, and kind of discuss it live. So this is William's first time seeing this, so he doesn't know exactly what's going to happen. So I've just been telling him a few things, so this is his first time seeing it. So we're going to dive right into this and see what we think. Let's go. So today we are testing sounds and how loud it is in the woods when you're hunting. And so climbing a tree, setting up, brushing against the tree with your clothing. Just what does that sound like from different distances? And so what we're covering today is kind of a little breakdown of all that. We're not going to go into too much of detail. We're just going to show the recording the sound from different distances, 10 or more, like 20, 50, 100 yards, and seeing how much of a factor making this, and we're going to see how much the sound is going to carry into those further distances. And so we're going to start off with the basic movements, or whatever the sequence is of showing what the sound is at closer distance, and then we're gonna move out and see what it sounds like. All right, so the gear we are using today is right now we're rocking the Rode NTG5 shotgun mic, a very high quality microphone. We use it for a lot of our interviews. It's just a great shotgun mic capture. It's a lot of really good sound. And then we're recording into the Zoom H4n Pro. Great all around audio recorders, and we're using high quality XLR cable. So this is great quality, really good quality gear capturing this audio. So it's not cheap stuff, and it's gonna mimic what the human ear can hear pretty well. So that's important. Deer call at 100 yards. So this is 50 yards, deer call. Beautifully done, beautifully done. Move to 20 yards and see how this sounds.
That's fascinating. In our study, in our initial assessment, or what I was looking at was, there's a key difference between, like, everyone's hooked up on, like, decibels, which is like loudness.
Yeah, the overall volume in a sense, yeah.
They can hear it. We can hear it. Now, this is with a mic. They can hear that. That's at 100 yards. But what's really important here is the frequency that we're running at. So like deer, based on that UGA study that they did, the frequency that annoys them the most, like they pick up that most like pinging sound, like that sound that like alarm clock to us, is like between the frequency of 5 and 8,000, 5, 10,000 frequency kilohertz.
Kilohertz, yeah.
No,
Hertz.
5 to 8 kilohertz or 5 to 8,000 hertz.
Yeah.
The snortweeds is that annoying factor sound.
It is really interesting seeing the different, like, of course this is not real deer calls, but like the grunt is that lower.
Yeah.
The bleat is a little high, but the snortweeds is like the highest of all those calls.
That's where you're throwing that sound out there, and it's like
It's
annoying sound.
brain.
It'd be like someone whistling at you, like, yo, bro, I'm ready to pick a fight with you.
Yeah.
That's what you're throwing down. But still, at 100 yards, perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, when you're grunting, you're calling, like, just in my first assessment, like, you're hearing everything.
Pretty much, yeah.
And that's clear as day. Like, I'm deaf, and I can hear that. And so, with your microphone, obviously, I would not hear that. Your range, your calling range within a deer stand is pretty wide.
Yeah, I think like I'm not sure. I mean, like I said, I'm not professionals, but ultimately, when people say, "Oh, the deer didn't hear that," unless they're really far out, I think they are hearing every single call you're making. It's just they're choosing whether or not to come into those calls.
Correct.
That's what it comes down to.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm curious to see like how much of it is like my hearing or me hearing through this microphone versus...
You can pick it up?
Oh, yeah. Really well.
We should do... can you hand me up the rainwear? I'll try that.
Yeah.
That's more just symbolically, because I think the rubbing on the tree is going to be louder.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to test here. We're sitting here at 20 feet. We've already started the testing process of just testing various sounds, climbing up and everything. But now we are going to focus in on my favorite, the rainwear question, and then whispering. And so the goal objective right now is those two variables to make this. See, Gabe is, I don't know how far Gabe is. I would say 100 yards adjacent to us down a ridge. And, all right. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
I'm surprised. So the fabric rubbing, unless it hits like a certain, like, just right pitch, couldn't hear it.
Yeah.
Then you hit that high pitch,
Like
and all of a sudden you can pick it up.
Yeah, you can see it in the waveform. Like it's still very low, but the fact that it's carrying out to that 100 yards is incredible. And like, I mean, I'm not sure about you, but I could hear it like perfectly. Especially when I was out there, I took the earbuds out and I could still hear it like rubbing together so perfectly.
It's curious though, because like the fabric rubbing and then the whispering.
Yeah, yeah.
They can hear everything. They can literally hear everything.
They can hear everything.
I think like, I wish we had gone further, because like maybe that's next test for us is like,
push it
like
up 200.
How far? 200, 300? Because like whispering at 100 yards, rubbing around a jacket, even though like I'm trying to make it, but still, that looks like deer can hear anything and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
The only thing that's like a positive on whispering fabric rubbing is the low frequency.
It's very low.
It's on the lower side, and so
it's very,
to a human, we picked that up. So like my understanding, based on reading the UGA study, is like deer hear the same, like what we can hear, the frequencies we can hear on the low side, all the way up to what we can hear plus some is like a deer's hearing range.
Yeah.
But they're like kind of annoyance factor where they're like their sweet spot of hearing is slightly elevated. So like higher frequency sounds are slightly more acute to them versus slightly lower frequency sounds. So like this sound is super low, a low frequency, but still not good. Like I'm just shocked on the whispering.
I know.
At 100 yards, whispering is
100 yards.
And so, like, again, I don't think we're here to say like deer are spooking every time they hear this, but they know something's there.
Yeah, and like if you're, I mean, you are whispering a little bit louder than like probably like if I was right next to you, but still like the fact that like we can hear it at 100 yards is amazing. Whether or not they can hear it or not, just shows how much we think we are like being quiet, but in reality, that noise is like it's carrying it to 100 yards.
It's scary.
It's wild, yeah.
And then I would be curious, like, if like when you whisper, if that's you got to separate sounds. Like you have decibels, which is like magnitudes, like elevating your voice, versus like the pitch of your voice, like a ping versus a bass type sound, and like that whispering, if that's like a higher frequency.
Yeah. Well, what was that one thing you were telling me about whispering versus like regular talking? Yeah. That was
in preparation before all this, I read that whispering is actually worse off. You whisper at a higher frequency because of the that is a higher, like trying to keep your breath actually creates a higher frequency because you're articulating certain points to someone, and so you're trying to hit the key points so that you understand.
Yeah.
That creates a higher frequency, which is how we understand it
which is
in a
easier
whisper.
to hear, yeah.
It's intuitive. Like for you to whisper at a super low decibel, I need to hit a higher frequency. And so for here, whispering is almost bad for you in some ways.
In
like,
a way, yeah.
You need to like talk very subtly without hitting high notes.
Without using that breath.
Yeah, like that. You don't want to put that, like think the snort wheeze. Like if you're mimicking a snort wheeze.
Yeah, that's a great comparison.
You're hitting a higher frequency. They're hearing that. And it's much more sensitive, or you're alerting more, you're putting more sound waves out there that are more triggering than the other way. Let's keep going.
Keep going. All right, so this is going to be 50 yards of the sequence.
Should we just jump
Or
to the next test? It's like if you can hear it at 100 yards, like
pretty much.
Let's keep going.
We'll go ahead because if you can hear it at 100, you
I
can
want to see
hit 50 and 20.
if the frequency changes. No, it's the same damn frequency.
It's the same frequency. That's the thing. It's the same frequency that carries. It's amazing. It's so incredible.
So like if fabric rubbing and whispering can be heard at a lower frequency. So in theory, it's not as triggering.
Yeah.
Based off of the science.
Yeah.
Based off of the science, a whisper and fabric rubbing are essentially the same.
Pretty much. This is going to be about 70 yards, 80 yards downwind. Pause a bit. That's incredible, right?
Dude.
That's exactly what you're saying. The high frequency is that breathiness.
Yeah.
It's so obvious.
That breathiness is the high frequency, and then downwind.
It carries.
It carries way better.
It carries a ton. And you'll hear with the whispering. I'm not sure if I had whispering, if I could hear it in there, but like I could really hear the articulations of the words, or the words.
Yeah.
When I was at the other upwind, I could hear like a voice,
Mm-hmm.
but I couldn't hear words. Whereas downwind, I could really hear the words.
Yeah, downwind, man, like it's way more distinct. It's like almost like your scent cone and your noise cone. Like
yeah.
Like that is like amplified. So
It
like
carries.
how much of like is like deer being downwind is driven by not only is it your scent, but also the noise you're throwing out. Because the simplest, slightest noise that we think we're being quiet, like whispering,
Yeah.
we're picking it up.
It's 100 yards. We're hearing it.
We're hearing it at 100 yards. So like, it's like your scent cone, just like that is your dead spot.
That is because it's where all their scent sense, or their smell sense, their hearing, sound, like it, or all their senses are just heightened in that. Like you said, that cone.
Yes.
It's not just the smell.
Yes.
It's a lot more things.
That frequency, man, like
it's amazing.
That's unbelievable, man.
50 yards at the same sequence. Not looking good for noise. All right, so this is 20 yards. Same sequence.
So the 50-yard test to me.
Yeah.
Again, downwind scent noise.
It carries.
It carries way, way more. The thing that's interesting, my hearing sucks. But like the fabric rubbing, the tree rubbing.
Yeah.
They all kind of get washed together. Like I couldn't, like if you were to close my eyes and tell me like what's fabric rubbing, what's tree rubbing, I couldn't tell. Even grunting almost was like the same pitch.
It's the same frequency in a sense.
Same frequency.
Yeah, same frequency.
And at a distance, like if you close your eyes and just think like the same frequency, like if I wasn't looking at this and my eyes were telling me that, I would just associate the same. That hitting the metal, obviously we all do that. That's gonna.
It's way up there.
That's way up there.
And it's very loud too.
Yeah.
So like decibel, yeah, it carries forever.
But I can't get over this, man. Like you just said, like it loud, it carries, but like I wonder, like, loudness is obviously important, but like, what's the difference between hearing someone talk upstairs that's whispering versus hearing someone upstairs talking loud? Like,
yeah,
there's still someone talking. Like, if I'm not expecting someone talking upstairs, I don't care if they're whispering. I don't care if they're screaming. Unless they're screaming like bloody murder.
Yeah,
I'm gonna treat it as the same reaction. Like I'm going to get a shotgun, unless it's my kids, and I know they're supposed to be up there. Like, and so like, it's all heard. Yeah. Can we not? Yeah, like it's blowing me away, man. Like we're screwed.
We're done.
Yeah,
retire.
I don't know what else. Yeah, all right.
We'll keep going though. It's almost done. Oh boy. No bueno.
Huh?
No bueno. Not looking good for us.
See, that's what I'm starting to think. Like you can't make any noise.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. Is there anything else we need to do up here? Because I was gonna just do one simple hypothesis. You got some audio of me climbing up, didn't you?
Yeah, I'll just get some more. I'll just capture a bunch.
Well, you're not gonna get the spiking noise.
I got some of that on the way.
You did?
Climbing up, yeah.
Okay.
It was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to get climbing up and down the tree stand, like a compare.
Oh, with the metal and everything, yeah.
Yeah, just like what's the quietest way to get up a tree? That's got to be the quietest.
The preset stands are.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I'm like, the more I like this experiment's kind of changing my mind a little bit. Like tree spiking, like at least if you're trying to get that one like mature buck.
And that could be what's hosing us out here, at least. Good.
Yeah.
Is they're so close? So they're.
Yeah, they're hearing everything. Like when I was out there 100 yards, like I could hear you whisper, which is like the quietest thing. It's just wild. But yeah, you're good.
I'm gonna rappel out then.
Sounds good. We're climbing with tree spikes at a far distance. See how this sounds. So these tree spikes, heck, even any kind of mobile stick. Let's see what this sounds like from a distance of 100 yards. that's where it ended there. I made a mistake when I recorded him climbing up the ladder stand. I switched it to a different mic, and it was like, it sounded really bad because he got my hands all touching the mic. But pretty much what it came down to was it was silent. Besides like a few pops from the metal, because like we didn't climb up it. A few pops in the ladder stand. Other than that, completely silent. And so it is. I mean,
which is intuitive. Like that's what we expect from a preset ladder that you're controlling your weight versus putting all your weight on a tree spike and climbing up 25 feet.
Yeah, or mobile sticks, like still you're, you know, like rubbing against the tree and all that, which we saw. So
I will say this was not expressed. We did pick the loudest tree, which is a pine tree.
Which is good though.
Yeah, like that's what we're trying to test.
Yeah.
Pine trees loud, tons of bark. Not the funnest of tree spike, but still. That is the baseline. I don't want to climb an oak that's wide and misrepresent what we're doing here.
Yeah, so we made with every test, it was like just about the loudest we could be. So like I said before, when I recorded this, we recorded walking from 400 yards to like 10 yards or 0 yards. And I made the mistake of switching over to the long mic and all that. But anyway, when we recorded, I didn't have that in the final edit. We recorded walking from 400 yards to 0 yards. And I'm just gonna throw the wave frequency form on screen now. And this is, let's say 50 yards to right next to me. And you can see where the frequency, you know, it's very low, but then it climbs up. And from what I understand from OW Audition, the brightness of the color is the volume. And
no, the brightness is the amplitude. That's the decibels.
Oh, I was saying like, but the decibels. That's what I meant to say. Like the volume of the decibels. And then you can see the frequency too. So what do you think? I don't fully understand audio engineering and audio, but when you're right next to me, the frequency of those leaves is up at like 22,000 hertz.
You're picking much more up that crinkle.
Yeah.
Like imagine like if you crinkle a leaf at 1,000 yards, what you're going to pick up versus the crinkle leaf. The frequency is the frequency, but the detection of the frequency is perfect right next to it.
Yeah.
Like having a microphone 2 feet from your foot or an inch from your foot there, you get the full crinkle.
Full crunch.
The full crunch that's going to get all those pitches, all those frequencies. But as you get further and further away, still the same frequency, technically speaking, but you're not going to pick up every little just because, just like a deer can't hear it, we can't hear it. It's just not there because the decibels didn't travel far enough, didn't give you enough amplitude to reach out that far.
Yeah.
Nonetheless,
still,
you were picking me up at 100 yards or so. Like you heard me walking towards you.
Yeah.
And I was trying to be quiet.
Yeah, you were being quiet. And you went from like walking on dirt to walking on leaves.
Yeah,
so you
like,
got some.
I was trying to be quiet as best I could, and you're picking me up at 100 yards, 200 yards.
Yeah, you can see that.
And it's at the wrong frequency. Like it gets
it's that 8,000.
That 8,000 frequency, which is ironic, or not ironic, it's God's glory, but they are perfectly designed to hear stuff walking up on them. Like that's what's like.
That's the range,
Evolution and God has come to them and said, you know what, the ones that are still around, walking around today, were designed and created to evade predators thousands and thousands of years. They've gotten to this point because the ones that didn't hear that frequency, they're no longer around. Something's sneaking up on them that they're going to hear. Yeah. And so like, I always thought it was like the twig breaking.
But twig breaking, that is like the sound of a heavy, like a heavy predator. But it's very.
I don't think it's a heavy predator, man. Like I think it's like the straw that broke the camel's back. Like you have you hear this frequency walking up on you, and then it's that final moment, like that one height, like that's not normal. Like they're hearing all of it.
Like it could be a squirrel, but then you hear that twig break. Like the squirrel doesn't break the twig. It's all of these things like culminated together. But yeah, it's wild because you see like where it kind of peaks around 10,000 hertz or 10 kilohertz.
That's the average.
Like, it's the average, and like that's wild. It's like exactly perfectly in there, like
That's the sweet
Their
spot.
sweet range, yeah.
Sweet range of annoyance factor, which is not what you want.
Well, they're prey.
Yeah.
So like
Makes
they're
sense.
created for that. Like they're supposed to be able to hear and run away. I'd be very, very curious to see like what the predators' frequency is. I mean, that's a totally different subject, but I guess that's us. Yeah. We hear that lower range, but yeah. Very fascinating though.
Like my concluding factors now is basically you just have to manage noise.
Really manage, yeah.
More so, scent's easy. What I've learned now, scent's easy. You just have to know that what's downwind of you.
As long as it's not swirling, like you're.
Yeah,
it's a one decision you have to make.
Yeah, it's the single decision, but noise is so like. I almost think you have to like really like. I really want to go and start testing like the magnitude. Like you have a bubble around you everywhere you go.
Yeah,
and that is your quote unquote you contaminate that area with noise. Meaning, if it's for sure within 100 yards, unequivocally,
absolutely,
100 yards around you, anywhere you go in the woods, they can hear that. Not to say that they're going to spook. Not to say that they're going to be like that's a human.
Yeah,
but you are putting a noise that like was not there before is there now. You're educating them. They are hearing it.
Yeah.
And putting them on a different state. Much like if you're in your house, you hear a noise, you're going to put you on a heightened alert. Like, what was that? If I have my kids at home, I have my wife at home, I have my dog at home, I might be less relaxed. But if I know I'm alone or I feel like I'm alone and I hear something,
you're instantly like, what is that?
What is that? Like, it's just going to put me on a little bit of state of alert. That is, you for sure doing that with every deer.
Absolutely.
100 yards around you, minimum. That's what this test unequivocally showed. They could hear whispering, they could hear calls, they could hear trees rut, anything and everything. 100 yards around you, for sure they're hearing you. What's the threshold? Like, what is your zone?
Yeah.
Because for some of these sounds, I wouldn't be surprised if it's 500 yards.
Yeah. I think the ultimate test, too, is testing sounds out in, like, different environments.
Yeah.
Different terrain, topography, and also be very curious, like with foliage.
Yeah.
And how much, like, does that make it worse?
I think foliage would make it better. Like, I think it's going to dampen the sound. We were in elevation changing.
Yeah, so we had a lot of, like, reverb.
There's tons of reverb.
Yeah.
So, like, flatland, I think you probably have a little bit of a smaller buffer. I think, if anything, what we tested was the worst.
It was, yeah. Worst
outside of, like, Rock Canyon, like, we had no leaves. Woods, though. We had some timber. Tons of elevation change. We were up 25 feet.
Yeah.
That's another thing that, like, we went up.
Yeah.
I wonder how much sound actually moves. Like, are you at a disadvantage from a sound perspective? The higher you go, you're pushing more waves out.
If it carries further than, like, being on the ground, it drops off sooner. Yeah, we really have to test that next time, yeah.
Because, like, I always thought, like, let's go up higher to see, but you're also going up higher. You're pushing more noise up there. Definitely pushing more noise. Just in the fact that you have to climb higher.
Yeah.
Now they know that they can hear everything. Like, you're really pushing opportunity cost going up higher.
You're like, your level of success is just dropping.
Yeah. You may be able to see them, but see them running away or walking away.
True. Yeah. It's amazing. It's like everyone wants to be the mobile hunter nowadays, and I think it's awesome. I think like we've talked about this a ton is travel corridors, mobile hunting, saddle is. I feel like you can do it as long as that deer's not around you. But there's something. I mean,
I would never.
All our ancestors, like we're like, you go and wait, then the deer comes to you. You don't really go into their bedding area because they'll hear you.
Dude, I really would be apprehensive to go hunt anywhere near a bedding area, knowing that they could be there, because
you're making noise. Yeah,
you
climbing a tree.
You can't be quiet enough. I think like you cannot be quiet enough, and so like it really makes me question like at hunting mornings now. Really makes me concerned. If I know that a deer could be bedded within, I'm going to say 300 yards of me.
Yeah,
they're going to know I'm there.
Yeah, especially in the early season when they are bedding and moving at those earlier hours. Like they're all over the place. You can't pinpoint where they are.
I'd really question that. mobile hunting where I'm physically carrying a bunch of stuff in and moving around looking for a tree, trying to find the right spot. If I know that I'm going to an area where there's potentially deer could be within that buffer zone, I'm busting it unequivocally. You can't be quiet enough. I'm probably feeling like I need to do more set stands or hunting from the ground.
Yeah. Well, that's a great way to just like reduce sound is hunt from the ground. Just walk in and sit at a tree.
Plop it on a tree. You can still saddle hunt from a tree. I don't think it's the physical aspect of climbing that tree, that bark rubbing.
Yeah. And
then pushing, once you're up there, like, you're pushing so much sound out there, man. Like
sound, scent,
it's everything. Worse. Like scent. You got your scent cone. Sound, you have like a bomb. Every time you make a noise, it's like a bomb just went off, and you're sending ripple effects everywhere, and it's amplified downwind.
Yeah, it's true. It's not just like wheel and wind. We always think of that scent cone, but the sound it's probably further down.
Yeah,
it goes further, almost like an oval, or I'm not sure what you call it, because it goes further with the wind. But you also have this massive circle. You're saying, and it just makes it makes the whole hunting, or everyone's like getting in the buck's bed or getting close to the deer. Like you can't do that.
Yeah.
Because it was just ruin the area. So like I think the conclusion is set stands are gonna be way better. Still gonna be careful with sound, but it's gonna be up your chances way better of at least being quiet.
I think set stands are gonna be way better. I think hunting from the ground is obviously. You can't shoot what you can't see. Yeah. But I've always, like my pet peeve, my whole life or my mature adult life of hunting has always been better to not hunt than better to hunt and spook.
Absolutely, yeah.
And over hunting is worse than under hunting, in my opinion. And knowing when to hunt is more important than knowing more about when not to hunt. So like, this whole study, this whole testing, like, really makes me question, like, I don't really care if I climb 30 feet and see the deer if it's going to educate them. I'd rather be on the ground and not see them than educate them.
Yeah.
That's basically...
Do you want to see the deer running away or not see it?
That's not see it at all and not educate them, but know that they were there and not disrupted their pattern is more important.
Yeah.
I think another thing that you can't really do with this test. We determined like they can hear a lot of stuff. One thing I would stress is like in what I've read in the studies is like their ears are super awesome at sonar, like
pinpointing.
Yeah. Like they have like these like way better microphones than what we
massive,
have.
Like, catching.
They have 2 microphones. Imagine Gabe double-fisted microphones out there.
Yeah.
Like that's what you're doing. That's what a deer has. And so, like, the right frequency at the right distance, like,
they know exactly where it is.
Yeah, they know exactly.
They just can, like, pinpoint exactly where that came from.
And, like, I've witnessed this. Like, I've thrown grunts.
Yeah.
Or rattles, and, like, in thick timber.
They'll come exactly.
And they come right to that tree.
Yeah.
And you think it's scent or something. I think they know exactly where you're at. I think they can, like...
Oh, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
So, the right bucks, like, they hit that right frequency, they know where you're at. And then they walk downwind. It's like purposely like you say it and you don't fully appreciate it. Like I've always said, like I grunted and I saw this big buck or the right buck, and like of course he circles around downwind of me.
Yeah.
The only reason he knows how to circle downwind of you is he knows your original spot.
He knows where you are.
He knows where you are, but he can't see you.
Well, and he's so that smart deer. They hear and they want to double check with their another scent, their scent. Their smell, and then and then they want to be sure of everything.
The final point, like stressing, like now understanding this is like we had discussed this in a little bit of prep, and like it's like their hearing is so good that like when wind is high, I always thought when wind is high they can't, like smells are everywhere.
Yeah,
it's noise.
It's noise. It's covered up.
It's covered up. They can't hear anything. The smells are coming from every direction. It's covered up. Like it just muffles all that.
Yeah, all their senses are in like
neutralized.
Useless. Yeah.
And it's almost like chaotic. And so like, not move, go down, be hunkered down. And so like I always thought like it's the wind and still like if I get in the right spot and like it's. but they're just not going to move in the wind because they have no idea what's up, what's down, what's left or right. Like it's just like Superman when he had all his powers into school. He goes into the closet because like it's just chaos in his mind. When he sees X-ray, he hears everyone's voices. Like it's just like it's too much. It's sensory overload, and it causes them to go into a state of like, I need to lock down. That's what's going on.
Absolutely. Now, one last thing I'd like to touch on is the clothing, because like we did the rubbing, and like you could hear it, but it was a very low frequency.
It's a low frequency,
which is interesting because people always complain it's just way too noisy. What do you think about that, though? Like,
I don't think fabric rubbing. I think if a deer can hear the fabric noise, they see the movement first. I could not delineate. Like when I close my eyes, I could not delineate honestly between a grunt and the fabric rubbing versus tree rubbing versus walking. It's that low frequency. And so I think if you're making that noise, you are moving. And if you're moving, that's what's keying it off of it.
Yeah, it's
that sonar effect of like, that came from there, bam, I see that thing up in a tree. It's all about that frequency, man. They can pinpoint it, and it's right. Like fabric rubbing, grunting is more of like a, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
It's not like a triggering sound.
It's not that carabiner tap, that metal tank.
That carabiner tapping or that snort wheeze or that higher pitched frequencies that is like triggering. Like when I did my like prep for this, like when I was trying to research like humans, like that annoying alarm sound is like, I think I read like 2 to 5K.
Yeah, in hertz. Yeah, hertz.
In hertz. And like when you heard that beeping, if you go Google 2 to 5K hertz, like you can hear these annoying sounds. It's super annoying to us. A deer's annoying sound is like 5, 6K to like 10K.
Yeah.
And like, I couldn't even hear it. I'm deaf. And you were like, oh man, it's a horrible sound. It's like, horrible, but it's like a really, really, really screeching high pitched sound, a whistle.
Yeah.
That's like a triggering sound for a deer. And so like, makes sense. Like a grunt should be like normal. Like I'm just talking to you. Like a deer grunting is
their communication. Yeah, it's
part
like
of their communication. That should not be a triggering sound.
Yeah.
That's like me like saying, hey, how's it going, man? Like I'm not, if I screamed at you and said, hey, like,
I'd be like, okay.
Go away. Yeah. Just get away from me. But so like a normal, like fabric rubbing, tree rubbing, like normal sounds to them, the normal comforting frequencies, that's normal to their day to day. It's those higher frequency sounds.
Yeah.
But like, I didn't understand what high frequency really meant. Like whispering, like there's a difference between decibels and amplitude to the frequency, the hertz. And it's like, shh, it's high frequency.
Yeah.
A gunshot, low frequency. Who's ever shot a deer and the deer didn't do anything? They looked around.
Yeah. Unless you break that sound barrier.
Yeah.
But like, there's a lot more.
That's
still.
It's all about the frequency. It's all about the frequency. Good.
So fascinating.
I think from here we got to go check out, like, start like comparing frequencies. I want to check four-wheeler sounds.
Yeah, there's gonna be a part 2. There's gonna be a part 2.
I want to check four-wheeler sounds. I want to check distances, and like, what is your? Because you have a contaminated zone, like a fallout zone around you everywhere you go. Like, how big is that?
Yeah.
Because like, I'm almost to the point now where like, I'm super sensitive to what I do when it comes to hunting. Like, I really want to question, like, is it better to go in when other things are making noise? So, like, early morning hunts, like, it's unnatural. Nothing's moving at 4 a.m.
You're trudging through the woods,
Or driving a four-wheeler, like, 1,000 yards to your spot, even a mile away, like, I've heard a four-wheeler.
Well, yeah, we at the farm, we always hear, like, when someone starts up a car or a four-wheeler at the house. Yeah.
And if you're hunting in an area that's not natural, they're picking it up, and it's just kind of like getting back to your home. You hear a voice, like, it may not be like, I need to get out of this house. It may be like, hey, something's going on. This is my safe spot. It's time to put my perimeter up and start looking around.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, you're putting education out there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And education is bad. And so unless you're hunting an area where there's tons of noise, like I'd rather maybe go in when it's a little bit more action's going on.
Yeah, like a midday and hunt in the evening.
Or just like at sunrise when birds are chirping, because birds are chirping, and that's a high frequency sound that's probably super annoying to them.
Yeah.
And so there's a little bit more commotion that can mask your noise with other noise.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really like this whole aspect of noise roaming makes me really question, like, you can never be quiet enough. And so you need to have a cover noise.
Yeah.
As your only, back in the day, like cover sense.
Cover noise.
Cover noise.
It's a new thing. Start business.
Yeah, I could walk in with a static white sound always. Or just put radios out in the woods all the time, 24/7, so they hear rap music.
Yeah. There's something there we could start, But yeah.
So like I think part 2 is determining like what is the band by which sound they would pick up when you move to the woods. And then like what types of sounds are we making that could be heard, like at what distance are you picking up a four-wheeler, what frequency is that at? And then I swear to you, I've talked to you about this many times, the cameras, cell cameras.
Cell cameras. That's something we got to test
because
out.
we have to get a special mic. Deer, this has all been within our hearing range. So like sounds that we hear is basically like, I don't know, 20 to 30 hertz is like our low end. Same with deer, 20 to 30 hertz. If it's 8 hertz, you're not hearing it, and deer's not hearing it. So 20 hertz, all up to 20,000 hertz. 20K or 20,000 hertz is the max we can hear. A deer has a range supposedly of 20 to like 30, 35,000 hertz. And so with that higher elevation, like that is ultrasound.
You're in that realm.
You're in that realm of ultrasound. Back in the day, like for these older guys that like when you had a phone call, your radio would make a noise. Like there's a noise, there's a frequency, there's a sound wave being communicated to your phone that's telling it, hey, you're about to get a phone call, or that signal's hitting your phone,
wave,
telling your phone to ring. That sound wave, that's a noise.
It's a noise that we can't hear.
That we can't hear.
Maybe they can hear it. Yeah.
Could they hear it? And then, so like cell cameras, I have so many cell camera pictures where deer are looking right at the camera. I used to think it was the infrared light.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's just popping off a ping.
It's like a little nuke.
And I would be curious if cell cameras are different. Like, is it the cell signal pushing it out that's causing like...
Yeah, is it like normal cameras or cell cameras? Is there a difference?
The cell cameras, four-wheelers,
cell phones.
Cell phones. I know cell phones.
Oh, we already know.
So, like, your pinging of a cell phone accidentally turn off a ring, that probably blows out 1,000 yards or in any direction for a 500-yard range. Yeah, there's something there.
Yeah. It's gonna be super interesting to test and see what the conclusion or what it all turns out to be.
Yeah.
I have no clue. I have expectations, but
I don't know.
I have no clue.
Wrapping it up.
Yeah.
Can never be quiet enough.
Pretty much what it comes down to. Yeah.
You just hope there's other things making noise around you that they can't triangulate.
Yeah. So true. But yeah, there's our breakdown.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Hope you found this interesting. We are no professionals by any means, so this is like, we could be totally wrong. If there are any audio people in the comments.
Dude, there's audio people out there.
Please reach out to us. We don't know what we're doing. But yeah, thanks for watching, and there will be a part 2 to this, so stay tuned, and I'm not sure when, but we will do it. So
we got to get the ultrasound mic.
Yes, we got to get that. But thanks for following along. Leave a comment down if you thought this was interesting. Hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you all later.